All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Hyannis Main Street and Waterfront Historic District Commission. Tonight is October 18th, 2023. To all persons deemed interested or affected by the Town of Barnstable's Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission ordinance under Chapter 112, Article 3 of the Code of the Town of Barnstable, you are hereby notified that a hearing is being held at Town Hall, 367 Main Street, Hyannis, Mass., Selectmen's Conference Room, second floor, 6:30 p.m., Wednesday, October 18th, 2023. This meeting of October 18th, 2023 is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. In accordance with MGL Chapter 30A, Section 20, the chair must inquire as to whether or not anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, to please make their presence known. It does not appear that such is the case, so we'll move on. I will do a call to order. Commissioner Kevin Matthews.
Aye.
Thank you. Yes, you want to put your mics on. Commissioner Crowley, unable to make it. Commissioner Hinckley Needham was unable to make it. Commissioner Matthew Clark.
Here.
Commissioner Laura Cronin.
Here.
Commissioner Tom Doherty.
Here.
Commissioner Jack Kay.
Here.
And I, Cheryl Powell, also am here. We do have a quorum tonight, so we shall proceed. We had the call to order. We have roll call. We have a number of very special guests. I want to thank Town Councilor Betty Lucky for coming, and also former Town Councilor Deb, and thank you for coming. So, I know, I just figured out. So, we will go on to new business first, and that would be with Donovan Kerr, DBA Thrift on Main, 211 Main Street, Hyannis, map 327, parcel 152. Is anyone here to represent that? Please come forward. If you could come up, sign your names on the podium, turn the microphone on, and also announce your names, and welcome. And this is with regard to a sign.
Yes, that's it.
Sorry, I've got another. Oh, no. Good evening.
Good evening.
Tell us a little bit about your project.
So we are a local church here in Hyannis. It's called New Life Ministries International, and we are seeking to open a thrift store, which is another arm of our ministry. So we're doing it on Main Street, thus the name New Life Thrift on Main.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about the actual sign?
Yes, I'll have.
Hi, good evening. My name is Paula. I'm actually going to be the one who is managing the store and the one who's been coordinating the signs. So we have a sign that's going to be at the front of the store. We're not creating a new sign from scratch. We're going to be refacing the existing sign. The colors are as that's already exists would be gold lettering and black background. It's going to be on a wood and I think vinyl. The measurement is 72 by 12, and that's about it. We have an open and close sign to a neon that's red. That's going to be in the window.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can I ask the commissioners, do you have any questions with regard to the presentation, please?
Hi, good evening. With regard to the open sign, it says it's plastic neon. Is it real neon or is it a plastic sign?
It's a plastic sign that has to be plugged in and it's lighted.
In the historic district, the only lighted signs that are allowed for open would be a neon sign. The plastic ones are not approved.
I honestly don't know the difference.
Okay.
Because it was given to me from the owner, and he said that was what he used, so it would have been within code.
Can we confirm with planning to see whether it is actually neon or if it's the plastic ones that were not approved?
Jim, perhaps you can clarify that.
I'm happy to confirm with the applicant, but it sounds like they're stating it's plastic. I mean, yes, so signs made of plastic or vinyl are not appropriate for the district, is what it states. So, I mean, it's up to this board if they wish to suggest something else or maybe not consider that specific sign.
You can use other materials are available, but lighted signs should be neon or within the code. So I think kind of what happened, unfortunately, is that there's a lot of businesses that have signs in their windows that were not necessarily approved. And over time, it's just been kind of not been addressed. So with the new applicant, we should maybe take advantage of that and provide other options for you to use for an open sign. There are ways you can do it. You can use your open flag. You can use other open signs where they're not lit that you can leave on the door. But anything that is going to be lit, and I think that we can help them identify those that are allowed
Okay.
for any lighted signs.
Okay.
But other than that, I think it looks great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Commissioner Colley. Pardon? No problem. Thank you for coming. So, pardon? Yes. So, would you mind, sorry, would you like to come back up? I think we have some more questions. If you wouldn't mind, please. Sorry, I should have caught that. Thank you, Commissioner Kernan. It's all right. So, could you possibly clarify what the materials are in the existing sign right now?
It's wood,
It is wood.
and
I thought it
the
was.
lettering is vinyl, I believe, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners?
I have just a quick question. Is that a light over your sign that I'm looking at in the, in the staff report, everyone? I just wanted to see if that is a light that's hanging over your sign, if it's lit at night.
The picture that you received,
It's Jim, it's what you sent to the staff report. I'm just wondering if there's a light above it.
The existing conditions, the signs that's there now, is there a light above it? I don't believe.
Can I just glance at my phone?
Absolutely.
There is an apparatus above it. I don't know if it's a light.
Okay. Yeah, I can't tell either.
Yeah, we can't tell.
But it's visible because you're able to see it driving by.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions on the presentation? Nope. I am going to open it up to staff, please, for your report.
The only question I did have is if you're going to retain this sign, is there going to be new bracketing materials, or are you just reusing the existing bracketing material? The material that you're going to fix to the wall is just the same, the ones that are there now?
Yeah.
It should be the ones that are there,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. And then the applicant has already clarified the other items: black, gold lettering, wood, vinyl lettering. And I'm happy to work with the applicant on an appropriate open and closed sign.
Great.
Okay. Excellent. So I'm going to open it up to public comment. Is there any public comment for this application tonight? Yes, please come forward. If you would like to let if you would like to be seated now and let the public individual come.
Hi, Roberta Mock, 80 Greenwood Ave. I'm pretty excited about this. I think it's a great idea on Main Street. I just want to say I look forward to seeing it. Thank you.
Roberta, could you please sign in?
Yes.
You ought to be an old hand at this after the other meeting the other evening.
Well, I'm going to come back for more
Okay. Any other public comment? Nope. Okay, so Commissioners, what do you think of it?
I think it's fine. No problem.
Should we say with the, working with staff as to the appropriate
Yes.
materials? Is
Yes.
that a good guess? Everybody happy with that?
Yes.
Okay. Jim, you all right with that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So in that case, are we ready for a motion? So I am going to close public comment and ask one of the commissioners if they would like to make a motion on the findings, please.
I'll do it. I move that the commission finds this application to be compatible with the preservation and protection of the district
With regard to 211 Main
with
Street,
regard to
Hyannis.
211 Main Street.
Thank you.
Second.
second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Kay. Commissioner Doherty,
Aye.
Commissioner Cronin,
Aye.
Commissioner Matthews,
Aye.
Commissioner Kay,
Aye.
Commissioner Clark.
Aye.
Commissioner Carly, did you hear enough of this to, okay, thank you. I will also say aye. Thank you very much. So would one of the commissioners like to make a motion with regard to the certificate of appropriateness, please?
I will. I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 211 Main Street as described in the submitted materials, working with staff on the material.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Is there a
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Matthews? And thank you, Commissioner Doherty. I'll go this way. So Commissioner Clark,
Aye.
Commissioner Doherty,
Aye.
Commissioner Cronin,
Aye.
Commissioner Matthews,
Aye.
Commissioner Kay.
Aye.
I also say aye. Congratulations. It looks nice, but if you could please work with Jim and Karen with regard to the appropriate materials that fits in with the guidelines. Fair enough? Well, thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah. Next one, Jason Mello, DBA Kicks and Collectibles, 507 Main Street, Hyannis, map 308, parcel 093, with regard to another sign.
How's it going?
Good,
Hi.
how are you?
Good. How's it going?
Fine. How are you?
I'm fine.
So if you could tell us a little bit about your project, please. And announce your name.
Jason Mello. I own Kicks and Collectibles Cape Cod. We are a sports card, memorabilia, sneakers, clothing. We do pretty good. I've been doing like online sales and everything, and I'm moving it to a storefront on Main Street. I do have a logo that I've had for a long time, and I think it works. It's pretty self-explanatory. 24 inches by 96 inches.
Okay. And the materials, please?
I'm pretty sure it's aluminum composite material.
And the colors, please?
Black and white.
Okay. And I understand from what I have in front of me is that it's not AMC, it's ACM. is that right?
ACM, I'm sorry, yes.
That's right, it's been corrected here. I just want to make sure that was, okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Any questions on the presentation from the commissioners? Yes, please, Commissioner Cronin.
Hi, good evening.
How's it going?
The sign that you've got before us tonight, is that the one that is on the building right now, or will you be replacing that with another material?
It will be what's up there right now, yes.
So this is the sign that's already up there?
Yes.
So you're not replacing
No.
anything there? Okay, so that's up. And I have a question. In the staff report, it shows an open sign in the window.
Yes, it's a plug-in previous. I'm pretty sure it's the same one that they were just talking about. It was inside the building from the previous owner. Yeah. I didn't know that they weren't allowed.
No, fair enough. And I just, maybe if we could work with staff to try to get something that is appropriate for the.
Is a regular like flip sign?
Yeah, there's other options for you to use, and there's some lighted ones that are also acceptable. So if you could work with staff, we just want to kind of make sure that your new You're new onto Main Street, so we want to make sure that you,
It looks
good.
like from this picture that it's a red neon sign, plug-in sign, but it's hard to tell from this.
Right.
So it may be fine. You
if it
just-
is,
just
if
double
it's
check.
neon, then you're fine.
Also, I have a neon sign that I want to put on like the back wall inside of the store. Is that fine, as long as it's not in the window front?
I don't think we
Yes.
have any
Sure.
purview about what's inside the store. It's only what's seen outside,
I,
correct?
I just wanted to.
Yes, no,
Yeah, no,
thank you
that's
for
fine.
Thanks for checking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That'd
thank you
be
for
fine.
checking.
thank you.
Anything more on the presentation? Nope. Okay, I'm going to open, oh, actually, to staff first.
No, nothing further. It's directly mounted to the front facade, so nothing going to be shown for brackets or anything like that. So I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to open it up to public comment. Is there anyone here from the public to speak to this? All right, I will keep public comment open until we go to a motion. Commissioners, deliberation, what do you think of it?
Looks good.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Oh, and I assume Commissioner Cronin with the addressing the flip sign or whatever else, is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, for the window one.
For the window sign, yes.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, in that case, are we ready to go to a motion? And if we are, I am going to close public comment and ask one of the commissioners if they would like to make a motion for this, for the findings with the appropriate adjustment for the window sign.
Sure, I will do that. I move that the commission find this application at 507 Main Street to be compatible with preservation and protection of the district, with the amendment to make sure to work with staff to make sure that open sign is the correct sign that's appropriate for the street.
Well done, thank you. Anyone
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Kay. All right, Commissioner Crowley. Aye. Commissioner Clark.
Aye.
Commissioner Doherty.
Aye.
Commissioner Cronin.
Aye.
Commissioner Matthews.
Aye.
Commissioner Kay.
Aye.
I also say aye. Would a commissioner like to make a motion, please, for the certificate of appropriateness?
All right, I'll do it.
You're on a roll.
I'm on a roll. I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 507 Main Street, Hyannis, as described by the submitted materials, again, with the amendment to make sure to work with staff on the appropriateness of that open sign of the window.
I'll second that.
Okay. So, Commissioner Doherty.
Aye.
Commissioner Cronin.
Aye.
Commissioner Matthews.
Aye.
Commissioner Kay.
Aye.
Commissioner Crowley. That's Commissioner Clark.
Aye.
I also say aye. Congratulations.
Good luck with your new store.
But don't forget to contact staff to just make sure that sign inside is appropriate. Thank you so much. All right, continued business. Wind Development Company, LP for 307 Main Street, nominee trust, Conrad Watson, trustee, 307 Main Street, Hyannis, map 327, parcel 103. This has been continued from August 30th and from September 20th with regard to a demolition. And actually, I would like to ask, do you want to do the demolition and the new development together, or would you like to present both and then describe or decide if you want to separate it or not? However you like.
Well, I don't know that we have anything new to add on the demolition. Again, I'll take a vote.
Okay. So-
I'd agree to a vote on that as soon as you're able.
Okay.
But
So if it's all right with you, at least for now, and I leave it up to you to separate them, if you bifurcate them if you wish to, is that okay? So this will also be continued from the same dates with regard to a new building.
yeah, I think just coming out of the last hearing, we understood that there were no questions, with regard to the demolition, application. So we haven't prepared anything, supplemental other than what's been presented at the last two hearings.
I
So.
understand, I'm just trying to go by the.
Okay, no worries.
Please,
Yeah.
continue.
So, thank you, Commissioners. Robert Brennan, attorney representing Wind Development, also resident of Barnstable and property owner at 255 Main Street. If you recall, we closed out the last hearing by, asking the board or asking the commission for the action items. And what we've prepared and have in front of you now is just a highlight, of the revised submission. identifying, the comments that were articulated by the commission and what the responsive changes were. So I'm happy to step through those, and again, all of those reflected in the supplemental materials that were submitted and are in front of you. First, with regard to the window mullions, the added new window type and shutters that were called out. So breaking up the having a variety of mullions, particularly on the Main Street elevation. The Old Colony approach, and that is, what was the, where it's now shown as a gable end approaching north up Old Colony. That was changed, to a pitched roof, added the gables, and, refined fenestrations. I think you'll also see the addition of brick on that as well. So I think that has been, significantly modified, directly in response to the comments from the commission. With regard to the roof line and the gables, we've now changed all the roof lines to be gables. Similarly with shed dormers, it was the elimination of the shed dormers, replacing all of those with gabled dormers. Brick was a recurring comment, increased brick on the facades, and brick's been added to the end massing and extended to other ground floor facades. So, significant change from the last revision. I think exactly what the commission was calling for with regards to the locations, heights, and extents. Increase of the Juliet balconies. There's now a total of 60 Juliet balconies. So half of the units, now are shown with Juliet balconies. I think they're almost exclusively, on the Old Colony approach on the back. So really, the intention there in response to the commission's comment and was to bring definition and features to that approach. And I think that's is evident in the submissions before you. The historic lighting, specifically onion lighting, was requested. And you'll see onion lighting, in fact, added to the entrance on Main Street, and also at the corner of Main and Old Colony. And then finally, additional definition to the clock and signage. We've added wayfinding signage. Obviously, for the signage, we understand that we'll be back in front of you. The intention was not to present signage for final approval, but just to indicate where and what kind of elements. So, taking the wayfinding signage from the existing signage along Main Street, including at the Village Green, that has been now incorporated, to that intersection of Main and Old Colony. And then, again, I think you'll see additional detailing with regard to the clock face at the corner of Main and Old Colony. So, again, we closed out the last hearing asking for our homework assignment. The design team focused, on that. We also, communicated with the planning department to make sure that we fully understood, what was being requested. And all of that has now been reflected and included in the submission in front of you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And you've signed in, correct, Mr. Brennan?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
So I'm going to ask if any of the commissioners have any questions with regard to the presentation. Commissioner Doherty.
I think these additions are great. A lot of positive improvements. My problem from the beginning is the size of the project. I think it's too big for the property. I have a vision, if this goes through, of what Main Street's going to look like. It's going to be a canyon of apartment buildings. Right? I would really like to put a hold on any approval of projects this size until the regulation and guidelines are completed that we're working on. those guidelines to me are far from complete, okay? And I would also like zoning and planning and the town council to relook at these zoning laws to see how they are going to affect Main Street and make some amendments. So, your improvements were very nice. The project to me is just too big for the property, and I'm afraid what it's going to do to Main Street.
Right. So again, I appreciate those comments, and respectfully, I would say that the WIN team has put this project under agreement, and for more than 6 months has been working with the planning department, has been conducting outreach to members of the public, and designed exactly to the zoning that is in place, the new zoning that is in place, and designed exactly to the regulations as they, stand now. Certainly with regard to future projects, if there is a will and desire among the council or among planning to further revise the zoning, certainly. I mean, that is the public process. But it's also the public process that, the zoning, as it's reflected, as it was fully vetted, as it was heard, as there was outreach, as there was participation, and as it was written, is the purview of an applicant. And that is the zoning that this project, is going forward under. So, I can't agree to withdraw the application. And I think that some of the concerns that are being expressed with regard to, again, the size and the provisions of the zoning, that is, I think we all recognize a purview of planning and zoning and the council. We've endeavored to, and I know the design team has worked very hard and been very open and very responsive to all the comments, with regard to, the features that are within the purview of the commission. And I appreciate, Commissioner Doherty, your comments and recognition of that. But they've worked very hard, and they stand here today submitting and asking, for a vote under the zoning and the guidelines as they stand.
Any other commissioners?
I looked at the changes that were made, and they are done as requested. I would just, again, echo that it does not look like it's been fit into this historic district. When you look at some of the other opportunities that you could do with that location, having something that is more in line with our caricature and culture and design within our Cape Cod historic features, this just does not match those features. With regard to the exceptions of the existing zoning, there are some exceptions that you are asking for, so it's not all within.
There are none.
Allowed 30 feet, especially the frontage. When you're
None.
looking at the front, it says allowed 30, and you're going to 392 feet.
There are none.
In the proposal?
There are no. We are asking for no exceptions from zoning. This 100% fully complies with zoning.
It says allowed 30 feet, and you're proposing 392 feet on the lot width.
I'm sorry. What's allowed?
30?
Jim.
I think one of the
That's incorrect.
comments is that whole section of that part of the zoning, we've mentioned it before, that had the form-based zoning been presented with this option being one of the options that could be done on Main Street, I think there would have been a lot more feedback and questions of that nature. With having no cutouts or no entrances on the Main Street, which is what the form-based design or zoning was intended to do, I think that this is the first project that's going to be coming on with the new form-based zoning. I think it's very quick, and I think once it's there, we can't undo it. I think it's too massive for that frontage to be along the front with, no storefront with no no commercial on there. And I was reminded that there is no requirement for commercial from that area on the first floor, and you need it for parking spaces. And so parking spaces is not allowed on frontage in the first floor, but we've got that going in because you need the parking spaces. One of the things that is, again, is of concern is that if this is an opportunity for us to work with the developer for that property, I think we mentioned also the trade winds. That shows a completely acceptable design, location, and placement within a historic district. It matches what we're trying to accomplish here. Having a zone that this nature needs to be looked at to see what are the implications, because this has to have the caricature of Hyannis and character of our historic, and that's what we're trying to do, and that is our responsibility. And we have tried to work with looking at the design and seeing how it would fit. But I think if we, again, look at what the intent was of the form-based zoning, I think maybe if it is possible to take a pause and look at this and have it redone, have it revisited to see if this is really what that intended to do. And looking at what is possible then along all of Main Street, because if we're doing it here, there's no reason somebody's going to come back and do it all the way up through as well. And that's my concern, that it doesn't fit into the historic.
I appreciate those comments, Commissioner Cronin, and respectfully, all of those concerns that you voiced as reasons to oppose this project are entirely outside the purview of this commission. Moreover, this is a project, that, and I think as you'll hear this evening by folks who are here to underscore this, that meets a significant housing need. And the vehicles for doing that, are under the form-based code, which this is entirely compliant with, 100%. Could be under 40B, which would not be in front of this commission. Could be under a regulatory agreement, which would not be in front of this commission. So I think and I appreciate, again, the acknowledgement that the design team has responded and shown you all of the, responses to all the comments, that have been made. Calls for more brick, calls for gables, all of the things that we're told to the design team to bring this into conformity. We did not pick the layout of the lot. We did not pick a lot. We didn't create the lot to have a corner going down Old Colony. But under the zoning, 80% of the frontage, not 30 feet, but 80% of the actual frontage has to be occupied. 40% of any secondary frontage has to be occupied. That's the reason that the design, is as shown. And working, within to the letter, for the zoning and meeting all of the requests, with regard to colors and facades and fenestrations and window mullions and the addition of a clock and the use of brick and the addition of shutters and the use of onion lamps. All of that has been in response to, to the design, comments. So I hope that this gets a fair hearing tonight on, what the design responses have been to the requests that were within the purview of this commission. It concerns me that the opposition that's being voiced is with regard to the zoning and what's allowed under the zoning.
Mr. Brennan, if I may, and also Commissioner Cronin, if I may, with regard to that, I usually wait till the end, but at this particular point and with these time and at this particular point with these questions, I would like to ask staff to please clarify on the zoning and those matters.
Yep,
Because
so
I think they have been addressed, but I would like clarification from staff, please.
So are we referring to the 30-foot referred to earlier? Yes, so the 30-foot.
And
Yep.
meeting zoning and
So
everything in the new regs.
Correct. So under the downtown Main Street dimensional standards, 30-foot minimum is the minimum requirement when creating a new lot. So a new lot, you need a minimum width of 30 feet Not, miniature lots, essentially. As Mr. Brennan stated, the frontage requirements are accurate. 80% of that minimum frontage is to be a building frontage. So that is the historic pattern of Main Street is aligning that frontage up and down for over a mile that you will relate to the building as you're walking down Main Street sidewalk. So 80% of that primary frontage and 40% of that secondary frontage. So those are meant for the corner lots there. So that is correct, and it is accurate to say that this project does meet those standards. In addition, I can run down the other requirements, the dimensional standards, if you wish.
Can I just ask if there's any requirements it hasn't met?
Not at this time, no.
Thank you. Okay, so.
But I just
sure,
respond.
absolutely, Commissioner Cronin.
One of the things that I just want to be careful of is any responses that we hear tonight with regard that meeting a need, that is not under the purview of us as well. So I appreciate that, but that is something that we got caught up in before, and whether it meets the need or not is not our purview. Our purview for the Hyannis Historic District is to make sure that it meets with the character and conformity of our historic village. So I think that I do appreciate the effort to try to resolve all of the questions and open issues. But I think as this project has evolved and as we've looked at it further and further, looking at it whether or not it does meet the character, maybe we need to have, instead of brick, have something else that makes it look more in line with our Main Street and our historic areas. I mean, it's important that we do this right. So that would be my comment. But as far as meeting a need for housing, that is not under our purview, and it should not be of an issue for us.
Commissioner Matthews, you look like you're almost chomping at the bit there.
I'm just waiting my turn.
Let you loose.
So I first of all want to say that I've thought about this project a great deal in looking at everything before these meetings happen. And I totally understand, and I understand what Commissioner Doherty is talking about how big the project is, and there are some people who are concerned with that, and I get it. But I also, again, and this is my opinion, I feel like we're moving the goalposts here on you a little bit, because you've come to us, this is the third time, I believe now, and each time you've come to us, we've given you different things to do in this plan, and you've done them, and yet it still doesn't seem like it's enough. And what I feel is that I don't feel I can overstep my bounds as a commissioner on this committee by talking about stuff that zoning and council has already approved. I mean, me going and saying, well, I don't like that. It's unfortunate. These are the guidelines that were in place when you made your proposal. So I don't feel it's that I can knock you down for that and say, well, it's too big. Well, it's allowed. And if we want to change these guidelines through planning or through the town council, I think we should all get together, sit in the room, and tell the council what we want, and let's take votes. But at this point, you're just going by the rules you were given. So I don't feel comfortable telling you, sorry, you don't have my vote on this one. So that's what, and again, I applaud you coming back each time with the suggestions we've given, and I think the project looks much better than it first did when that first plan came through and the drawing came through. So that's my opinion, and I appreciate you guys making the changes and putting our suggestions into these drawings. Thanks.
Any other commissioners with regard? Yes, please, Commissioner Doherty.
I think it's much better also, but, and you did go in the guidelines of the zoning. What I am saying, this is the first project that we're looking at in this new zoning, and I think it has some flaws, and I think we have to pull back and maybe review it with planning and with the town council. That's what I'm saying. This could set the tone for the entire Main Street area, and I think it'd be a canyon of apartment buildings. So that's where I'm coming from.
I understand and appreciate, voicing that concern. I think this is a very unique lot. Again, the concern, as articulated, by Jim, was concern about minimum lot size, right? So the 30 was a minimum, no smaller than 30. There's not a maximum. And if you go up and down Main Street, I think if you look at the lots, and particularly looking at lots, that are available, for redevelopment, I think that concern in practice is probably unfounded. I understand, and I'm not trying to, diminish the substance of your comments, but I do think that in practice, this is a very unique lot. Both the size, the size of the building, that was on there previously, the fact that this is, a corner lot. But I also think that, if you look at the design, it's that this has seized the opportunity in response to comments, that we heard, even going into the first hearing, to make a statement, for this to be an impactful, moment for folks coming off of the train, coming down Center Street. So I do think that the design and many of the comments, that we heard were directed to that. And that exists in part, because of the opportunity and because of the size and the impactfulness, of that statement.
Any other commissioners before? I always speak
I just
last.
wanted to add one more thing. It's with regard to the comments that were given from the last time. One of the comments was making it more approachable on the first floor. And one of the zoning changes was that for whatever reason, and I don't know that we've ever really determined what the reasoning was not having to have that on this. I think that this project would go a long way if it had more pedestrian access to it, or commercial properties or retail on that first floor. Whereas you're coming into Hyannis and you're seeing this big building, but you can't come in unless you live here. So there's an opportunity, I think, to be able to put first floor pedestrian or make it part of the walkway, make it part of a cafe or a store on that first floor instead of parking, and instead of this being not approachable by anyone walking by on Main Street.
Right. So thank you for that comment. And actually, this is something that that the team from Wynn has discussed. Main Street, as we all know, that there are vacancies on Main Street already. So there's lots of existing retail opportunities. There's also a lot of existing retailers who are trying to hold on. Already on the east end of Main Street, we're trying to support 2 cafes, if you include, Chez Antoine. That's a third cafe. So I think that, we are certainly, we're meeting. And in fact, I think, any objective assessment, of retail needs and opportunities on Main Street is that there's a lot more space than there are, retailers. However, to your point of, drawing the public in and having the public, feel that they have a vested interest, and having community groups, feel that they have a vested interest in 307 Main Street, and having it be inviting, and having there be the interaction, not just of the 120 families who be living there, but the rest of of the community and community groups. Wynn is offered to make their meeting space within the first floor of 307 Main available to the public. Right, so available for those community meetings that we all know. There's always a struggle, in finding that. Whether it's for for nonprofit groups, whether it's for the film festival. I know that the Hyannis Film Festival, I hosted them at 255 Main for a few years until we brought in the Cordial Eye. So I know that there's the need. I've been asked about that. I don't have any more space at 255 that I can make available, but Wynn has agreed as a stipulation, of approval by this commission to make their community meeting space, which is, a large part of that first floor, available, to community groups. So they are, very much in line with you, Commissioner Cronin, in accomplishing that and making, 307, well, it still, again, conforms to the zoning and to the profile that they need, to be able to, to build with 75%, affordability, but to make that space inviting and to have that connection, with the, with the Main Street neighborhood.
Thank you for clarifying that. I thought that was the case. I'm going to work my way down this way, if I may.
Sure.
Is that okay? Commissioner Kay, you had something to say?
Yeah. I want to tell you that your refinements to your plans have met, in my opinion, all of the requirements that I have. I've spent my entire life in construction and architecture, and I really appreciate the challenges that you all had with this nasty lot. So I think that you can be assured that I will approve this. It meets what I think Hyannis is ready for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Clark. Everybody's sort of drawn lots here, so I'm just going diplomatically this way. Commissioner Clark.
I didn't have any design comments, but I did just want to speak to the process and the moving the goal line comment. We solicit public opinion, public statement, and I think that those matter. So I would just like to say that, I feel like the goal line in certain situations has been moved by members of the public and what they've had to say and the input they've provided. So I do respect your position and see that, some of our requests have changed, but I do think that it's important that we have solicited public comment and tried to be responsive to that as well. It's not just, us 6 or 7 people up here just coming up with things. So I think that has been an important part of the process, and I, appreciate everyone who's participated on both sides.
Fair comment. Commissioner Colley.
Sure. Just a point of clarification. I was here for the first meeting, which was adjourned to a second meeting. I was here for the initial presentation. Then there was a second presentation where further refinements of the project were requested, and now is the third presentation. So my question is, as a matter of the rules and regulations governing the commission, am I permitted to vote in light of the fact that I was here for the very first one?
Have you watched the videos on it? Because there's a Mullen rule.
I'm sorry?
I'll let Jim.
Okay.
I'll let Jim.
So in the town of Barnstable, only one commissioner is eligible to Mullen in, and I believe Ms. Cronin has already done so previously. Okay. So while Mr. Crowley certainly can participate in all matters, the final vote would be this group here.
Okay. I had forgotten, sorry, Commissioner Cronin, that you had Mullen in, so that is the case.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for going over that legality.
Just for clarification, and respectfully acknowledging everyone's comments, my own particular concern goes to something that's more structural for the commission, and that is, to what extent do we have a speculative, undefined authority to usurp other commissions, such as zoning? So that's something I'm always particularly mindful of. I believe we all need to be mindful of that. That, for better or for worse, our particular mission deals in things that are less identifiable, less definable, less measurable, but that, I think, brings with it a certain carefulness that we have to bring to our deliberations. I'd like to say that, in my opinion, the perfect is not the enemy of the good. I do believe that this end of Main Street is in dire need of some sort of rejuvenation, regentrification, what have you. I'm particularly reminded of my own experience in Queens, where I'm from. Close to where I lived, there was a big, open, empty lot in a place called Long Island City. Amazon announced, to everybody's surprise, that Queens would be the headquarters for Amazon 2. There was great excitement until a group of politicians started deciding, well, they didn't like the tax deal. They didn't like this. They didn't like that. Today, Amazon 2 is located in Virginia, and the people there are very happy. The restaurants that would have grown up, the side businesses that would have grown up in a vibrant community never arrived. And today, that lot is still empty, still sitting vacant in Long Island City, Queens. And it's one of the reasons that brought me up here. So I respect our charge. I respect the historic nature of what we're attempting to do here. But I think there also needs to be recognition that we're not a museum piece. We are a vibrant community. And this, for better or for worse, is the focus of who we are as an area. And I also appreciate very much the fact that I agree with Commissioner Clark, certainly, that the particular concerns that were raised to you are concerns raised by the public, not just by us. So you have shown, in my opinion, good faith in responding to those concerns. So I won't say that we're moving the goalposts on you. I say that we're being responsive. But at the same time, the letter I think that is going to be read in from Susan Batista, if it has not already, really summarizes that the nature of what we're dealing with here on Main Street is an eclectic community, a community that is not easily defined, that is dynamic, that is always changing, as much as we try to stay true to our roots. We want to maintain that, and I guess that's always a little bit of a struggle for us. So even though I can't vote tonight, I would support my full support is with you and with this project. I think it would be a great move toward revitalizing an area of the street, of Main Street, that is in dire need of some new life. And I don't see anything else that's waiting behind you that would be more acceptable. And my fear is that if we say no, in 3 years, we will still be staring at an empty lot.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners before I have my say? I have not forgotten the letter from Batista. Usually I read the correspondence right before I open it up to public comment. So my opinion, or not my opinion, but what I have noticed. One, thank you to Wynn and all those involved with Wynn for working with us. It's one thing I always try to make known with regard to the HHDC. It's a hard task because you're trying to do a balance. You're doing it between, we don't have purview on the zoning and the planning and that sort of thing. So we try to balance it a bit with things that we do have, the historical and character, the nature. And what we've been trying to do, and at least myself, I appreciate enormously that you've been so willing to work with us, and most of our applicants do, which is why we have precious few refusals. I think we've had one so far in the last year, but something like that. Is it one? Something like that. But usually people work with us, and we try to guide it so we can get it close, so we kind of check the boxes, and I, for one, am very grateful. But one of the reasons I really wanted to do that, personally, is because there is no new zoning, and in having new zoning and everything else that's going on, we want to set the bar high. And I'm perfectly happy for Wynn to be an example of setting that bar high. You don't want to set it too low and just say, well, anything can be accepted. So I thank you for working with us on that. That's why I asked Jim to clarify that it does meet all the zoning, because even though zoning is not our purview, it's something we don't want to override them. We don't have, be before them. I would, at the end of this, like to, before we vote, do you have any more pictures of the changes with the brick and that, or is it just the one that we have on our screen?
No, I think everything was submitted in the packet to you,
Okay,
at the same packet that's available on the desk over there.
Okay, so I don't think that in reviewing with planning, zoning, and the town council, I mean, they have their own, they've had their say. Planning has put their plans together. Zoning has put their plans together. They've all been approved. You have come back 3 times. I agree with Commissioner Crowley. We want to be careful not to just leave an empty lot. I also had put down here, because I thought when that was questioned that Wynn had said that the first floor was going to be available for community groups. So thank you for clarifying that.
And that is a change as of today. I think the response last time was that it was available, for residents. And now, again, in response, they're going to make it available to community groups.
Okay. So Again, thank you, for in good faith working with us. I must admit, I almost sent to Jim a request that you might consider something on that corner, which is not in our purview, kind of it is, because it's characters, a statue or fountain, something to lessen it up, but that's up to Wynn to decide if they want to do that. That's my own personal thing. So those are my comments. Do any of the commissioners have any other comments before we go to correspondence? And then we go opening up for public comment? Nope. Okay. Commissioner Crowley, since you brought it up and reminded me, would you like to read the letter?
Sure, thank you. This is a letter from Susan Batista, the owner of Hyphen, located at 525 South Street. Thank you for the opportunity to express my support of Wynn's design for 307 Main Street. As a property and business owner on South Street, I appreciate the work of the Historical Commission and its purview of preserving the unique character of Main Street. It's important to state that the architectural character in Hyannis is anything, it's eclectic. There is no one era or style that defines the character of our Main Street. As one walks down the street, you see structures built over a span of many years in many different architectural styles with many different building materials used. You see clapboard running horizontally and vertically, along with cedar shingles, bricks, concrete, and stucco-clad buildings of all configurations. You see white paint, black paint, yellow paint, aqua paint, and bright pink paint on facades. You see picket fences, striped awnings, and a series of statues, including INO, JFK, a large metal seagull, and a huge bull. The building Wynn has proposed incorporates the best of the eclectic mix of styles and materials that one can see along Main Street, thankfully not adorned with a bull. There is no other building on Main Street like it and nothing to compare to it. It not only fits the historical context of the diverse architectural palette, it elevates it and fulfills the Commission's mission to address the revitalization of Main Street to create a desirable place to live, work, and enjoy. Most importantly, it provides housing that will reinvigorate our Main Street, putting feet on the street that will make our community safer. Each building tells a story and responds to the time it was built. It is 2023, and Wynn is building a residential building, a first of its kind for our Main Street. Wynn has proven to be thoughtful and respectful partner. Let's continue to look forward and not backwards as we approve this project tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for reading that. Okay. Commissioner Cronin.
There is other correspondence.
Oh, okay. Would you like to? There's correspondence that we had before, but I think this is the only new one, is it not?
Yeah, point of order, that's the only new one.
It is the only new one.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we had the
I
others,
thought
and
this
those
came
were
in
already
second.
read into the
Never
record.
mind.
I haven't missed anybody, though, right? Just the one? Okay. Oh, okay, that's fine. Commissioner Matthews, you look like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, just really quickly. I think the impression that I used the term "move the goalpost," that it had something to do with my lack of respect for the people who come into this meeting room or to write the letters, is not the way that I used it. I think I used it in the terms of the committee, that they came to the committee 3 different times now with the changes that we asked them to make. And now by saying, no, this isn't good, that's what I meant by moving the goalpost. Never once did I actually disparage anyone who came into a meeting, anyone who sent a letter. The people are the ones who make the call. So I just want to get that out and put that on the record.
We did not move the goalpost, we just set it high. Okay. So, anyway, I'm going to open it up to public comment. Anyone, and thank you very much, Mr.
Thank
Brennan.
you.
Anyone want to have anything to say, please come up, state your name, and sign in.
Well, your first name is?
Rob
And I didn't get your last name.
Brennan.
Oh, Mr. Brennan. Thank you, Rob. Can you put that picture back where it was? Because that's what I want. That helps me. Where'd it go? Thank you so much. Yes. Oh, this is a big improvement from the last time you were here, Mr. Brennan. Thank you. Well, thank you. You did a great job.
It's a team effort.
It's personal for me because I used to sit, I remember I worked there in the investment department and looked down in the lobby inside, and I thought, and I spoke with Cindy, Roberta Mock, 80 Greenwood Ave, Cindy Cotton from the Barnstable Library this morning, and we were discussing it and saying, you know, they're looking for, I don't know if this is true, but she mentioned something about the widow, you know, and the finding of the Titanic. There's so much history of people in our community. It's amazing. So I thank you for making it better. It looks good now. However, details. I'm a window person. I like it when they have, like, you know, the historical windows where they have some kind of, each window is special. It has some kind of framing around it that looks like, a little bit like, I don't know, the North End or Boston or, you know, just to give it that character of, hey, this is Massachusetts and we like our heritage here. When you say the space inside for the meeting room, because my idea was to keep the Cape Cod Bank and Trust building, use it like they did in the Bass River, make it a second annex of the Hyannis Library so that we're serving the community for education and the arts, for language. I don't know if I'm going to forget something in these notes here, but just that lobby was so beautiful. The inside, I mean, you've been inside, right? It's a beautiful lobby inside, and that makes me sad. The tear down, I'm going to cry, okay, when that happens, if it happens, because I could just imagine, oh, Ron Carter from, you know, or famous musicians are tied to Cape Cod, and they love to come here and put on small venue concerts. They still do. I shook hands with Ron Carter. These people, they had this bass symposium at the Bass River Community Center. I went there. It was wonderful. I got to meet Rufus Reed. These are people I read about. And we're going to miss the opportunity for this location to have that lobby. It's a perfect little spot for, you know, special concerts in the wintertime when we get a little bored because everybody else is having fun over the bridge or whatever. So I'm bringing that up because I'd rather have that than everybody kind of like arguing over dog poop here and there and having enough problems with part of Hyannis that doesn't smell right yet. So I'm just trying to be, I love our town as much as everyone here, and I'm grateful for the wind developers to care and have the vision to make this place great again.
Thank you. Well said.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
This is the second of these meetings that I have seen. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm Nathan Hirschler. I am the owner of 296 through 302 Main Street, which is directly across the street from the entrance of this new building, if it gets built. I'm also the owner of Bread and Roses Bookstore and Cafe, which is one of those cafes that is on this street. And I spoke last time about the need for housing, so I'm not going to get back into that need and why this is such a perfect place for this type of development, given the ecology of Cape Cod. But I am going to say that I am super happy, both in the comments that I've heard that sort of support the responsiveness that Wynn has clearly presented to us again today. And to state that, you know, I am not a practiced eye at looking at this type of building or the design work for it. But when I look at this and I look at the buildings that surround it, including my own, I see a lot of similar historic qualities. And my building is a historic building on Main Street, built in 1908. And so I see the same rooftops. I see the same low-level brick on the first floor with clapboard on the top. And I see windows that match the historic character of my historic building. So I have a really hard time understanding the arguments that there is a stylistic problem with any of the work that has been done so far by Wynn. I do understand that there are a lot of people who are very afraid of change, and particularly change that is going to bring in workforce housing to this community, something that's desperately needed across the board. And so I think that's probably enough for today, and thank you. I hope this isn't continued and that I won't have to come up here again. But I appreciate all of your time regardless, and thank you for everybody's work.
Thank you. Felicia Penn.
Good evening. I don't usually like to talk about other people who make comments up here, but that was a particularly harsh statement that was just made about people seeing change in Hyannis and not wanting workforce housing in downtown Hyannis. Shame on you. Those of us who have lived here forever, and the previous commenter has not, have nothing opposed to workforce housing. And I know it's not your purview, so I'm not going down that rabbit hole, but I just want to correct the record, okay? We welcome people of all economic status in every color in the rainbow, all right? We are the one village that can say that and be happy and inclusive about it, all right? Okay, I want to know, yes, thank you for the responses. I just looked at them online. I didn't realize there was a printed packet on the side because I came in a little late. I wanted to know if ever there were elevations of what this project's going to look like from the intersection, the Ocean Street intersection in South Street, Hazelton Park general area, because it's hard to tell. It's one thing to look at an elevation from already a Main Street corner in Old Colony. We're very aware of what that's going to look like. We don't really have the balance of the across the street from that because that's not real accurate. But I'd like to know, coming up from Old Colony, depending on the street directions at the time, we don't know what that's going to be necessarily, if there's an elevation of that. And I would like to see that if there isn't one. Number 2, slide number 14, I have it here. I don't know if you have slide numbers in the packet. I can, do you want to? Yeah, can you?
Can we bring those up? Also, can we bring up the elevations on one of, I do remember seeing those on the Old Colony and from Ocean Street.
Madam Chair, I don't know if we want to go through the comments and then maybe Wynn can
That's
address
fine.
those comments.
That's fine, just so I'm going to get prepared, so she knows what we're looking for.
No, but that doesn't show me from South Street.
Please continue.
That's slide number 14. So is that Old Colony that we're looking at?
It's all columns.
Well, this is, yeah, so this is after the driveway to Verizon, and how far after that? But this isn't from Ocean Street. This is from, this isn't from Hazelton Park, what the scale's going to be from there. This is as if I'm across the street at 500 Old Colony, correct? Can you explain to me what that roof is? It looks like a flat roof to me, but then I see a few little gables and some lineage after that. I don't know what that is. I don't know the correct architectural terms for it either. But it seems to me that even though it's the rear of the building when it's facing Main Street, but it's the front of the building from everybody who's down at the waterfront at the harbor. So I'd like to know if that could not appear to be a flat roof any time in our lifetime, because it's not very appealing in my personal opinion. Also, I don't know if this is an accurate landscape plan as you have this, because I sure hope there are some actual trees in there somewhere. I see a silhouette, or it's a transparent tree. I don't know what that means. So I just wanted to bring that up. I have a lot of concern about the scale of this from the harbor area. We've got millions of people that come to Hyannis only for the ferries, and then we hope to snag them onto Main Street. I hope it's not a deterrent for that, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else, public comment, please? If you come up, sign in, let us know your name.
Someone stole the pen. I got one. Here you go. Good evening, all. Nice to see you again.
Good evening.
I think the first thing that has to be understood is that the failure is how this ever got to you to make a judgment. I don't know of any historical commission in the town of Barnstable that would ever take this to Osterville and say at the end of the Main Street, we're going to put 120 units. It's not going to happen. Barnstable Village, Osterville, Centerville. They come to Hyannis because of absolutely ridiculous changes in our zoning. From the town council, especially right through the planning board. And the reason is because all of the zoning was changed during the plague, where people weren't going out of the houses, my friends were dying, 1 million people were dying around the world. This was snuck through, and everything you're saying from the planning board is black and white, but there's not one mention of aesthetics. Did you say you had a building in Long Island?
There was supposed to be one. It was never built.
This is not Long Island. And we don't really care what they do. We are simply saying that we're on the verge of changing Hyannis into one of the most attractive places in the world because there's going to be 2 new bridges. They're going to revamp the airport, and we don't want them to see this building that was coerced during the plague with names attached to it like low-income people. There's 6 apartments in that place for low-income people. It's a ruse. It's a ruse. The next thing I want to get you down to, the fact is, I actually went to the town council because I was overseas during most of this pandemic working in the field that we're discussing right now. Simply stated, one of the hardest things for the average person to understand is something that's not there. It's a trained, like a musician or something. It's just a natural gift to see the unimaginable. I have people I work with, designers and architects, that I showed this project to, and they came up and dubbed it a name, trying to cram an elephant in a teacup. That's exactly what it is when it's all done. And I am here for you, this council right here. And I'm telling you, in my whole life I've done this. And that to me is an abomination. It'll never work, and when it's built, you'll be shocked to have your name on it. In 1996, when this committee was formed, I was thrilled. It became like a fail-safe for bad ideas. And by God, I was right, because you are picking up on this I don't want to hurt these people, but this is my town. You don't come from here. You do, most of you. I know Matt. We have to stop it right here. Next step, 100 parking spaces. Do the math. If only 50 of them were single bedrooms, I don't know the actual number, there's 2 couples, there's 100 right there. What about the other 70? What about their guests? What about the fact that people break into cars? We've already got a crime structure that our poor police officers cannot handle. And then they start talking about this being elegant. Let me tell you what's wrong with Main Street. You can't sell a good bowl of soup in a dirty cup. Main Street has to be cleaned up eventually. People on our streets are mentally ill. They have an illness. There's no facilities for them. When we were 50 years ago, 77 years from now is the year 2100. We're all going to be down the harbor holding up blankets to stop the tide coming. And if you don't believe it, Matt, you might see it, I'll be gone, but remember I told you, you'll get a kick out of it. We have so many things to face. Homeless people have 3 or 4 different types of disease. Didn't we just come out of a pandemic? Where is our legislatures trying to get laws that, like a drunk person, can be protective custody? Why aren't we making changes? Mr. Doherty, I commend you. You see exactly what I see, and I am saying the second you let them tear down that building, it's gone. I think we should do a moratorium and go back, like you said, to the town council and to the planning board and get their act together. 4 stories. Is anybody here familiar with the Boston Red Sox? You ever hear of the Green Monster? This building is bigger than the Green Monster. Think of that in perspective. You turn the corner of Main Street and you see the Green Monster. Come on, come on. We're working together. In 1996, when this committee was formed, it's proving its worth right now. Right now. This is not Long Island, and there's no other town on the Cape that they'd try to push this through. And if you did, I'd buy the building. It's a fortune to be made. I have on tape Mr. Brennan saying last week that they have to have 120 so they can make money. They don't live here. That is a mistake. If we go just a little bit further, 6 apartments of low income. Huh? What does that mean? That means there's 114 that can be priced accordingly. We know nothing about that.
I'm sorry, this is so far off topic, Madam Chair.
Because you're on the planning board.
I am going to.
I am not. I'm a resident and I'm staff.
All right.
I'm trying to help our commission stay on topic.
So you're not on the con. I have the mic.
If you could kind of wind it up in a couple minutes, I'd appreciate it. There's others who do need to speak.
Parking for 100 people, it's more like 200 people are going to be using that parking lot. You have to kind of put these numbers into focus. That's all I'm saying. The way that this ended last week is Mr. Brennan saying, "Come on, give me the permission." I think it would be a big mistake. My suggestion is a moratorium until it's going to be figured out. And if it's the right thing, which it's not, it'll be realized. All right, so thank you very much for your time. And if you don't mind saying, I think that we are a community and we are people who pay taxes and we have the right to do the right thing, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Excuse me, did you state your name, sir?
Yes, William Hedley Smith.
Thank you. Thank you. And if you could also sign in and state your name, please.
Michael Messinas. So first of all, I'd like to thank you all for all the hard work you do. And for you guys, I can imagine how hard you have worked. So today I'm not here to make any long comments, but I just want to say thank you to all. This means a lot for our community. I can see the passion that we all have. This is one community I don't care where you're coming from. I'm from Brazil, but I've been here for 27 years, so this is my community, and I'm proud to see the changes. From 20 years ago, we never had any restaurants, any bakeries, and today we have all that. So I'm proud to say that this is my community. So again, I had a chance to speak last time. I just want to say thank you to all for all your time, and I hope that you can consider that this actually will make a big change for Hyannis. And thank you guys for all the work that you have done. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Macinas. Anyone else for public comment? And welcome back to the HHDC, David.
Yes, hi, my name is Dave Colombo, and first I want to confess that before today I knew nothing about this project other than hearsay. Mr. Brennan had called me and asked me if I'd come and speak tonight, so he sent me an email of the project. I did not see what the project looked like before, but I see what it looks like now, and I got a pretty good education on it tonight. So I too, I haven't been I was a member of this board for 15 years, and I know what goes into projects like this. And I too like to thank the board, and also would like to thank the applicant for what I see as a great project. Again, I didn't see it from the beginning, but what I see here now with the different elements, the textures, the colors, the materials, and just listening to the applicant today about all his changes, I think it's a great project. I am new to this project, but I'm not new to Main Street. I've been in business here for 42 years, multiple business owner, multiple property owner, and I'm not going to get into the need for housing. But I am invested into this property, to this Main Street. I believe in Main Street, and I believe that this project right here is an important part in Main Street moving forward in a positive way. I commend you, and I commend the applicant here, and I hope this thing gets passed. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else for public comment? Betsy, I see you twice in 1 week. Elizabeth, sorry.
Hi. No, Elizabeth Worf-Bain, Executive Director of the Hyannis Main Street Business Improvement District. If you don't know the bid, we represent over 120 property owners on Main Street, Hyannis, about $138 million in assessed value, bringing in $8 million a year in taxes, about employing with the hospital, the largest segment of employees on Cape Cod. So I'd say it's the business corridor of all of Cape Cod, the capital, the Boston, so to speak. And I think we were all invested and passionate about how Main Street looks. I know Laura lives right around the corner. Tom lives around the corner. Kevin, all of you are very invested in how Main Street looks, because if Main Street goes, the Cape goes. That's been said all along. Or, all these phrases like, this is the place to do the thing. We're always a proponent of bringing in the culture to the center of the downtown, the film festival and all the beautiful things, the symphony. This is where we should have all of the activity, the density as well. So I'm a proponent of density in the downtown, but in a tasteful way. None of us, like Dave just said, and Rob Brennan, anybody that's invested on Main Street, Matt, all of us, we don't want it to turn into something ugly. Never, because we have something lovely here on Cape Cod that we all want to treasure, but we also have to let it grow like a plant or like a child, like a dog. Everything has to grow and flourish. So we have to water it and continue to let it grow, but in a managed and measured way. And that's what your thankful job is about, which is hard because beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But when you do look at the aspect of this architecture here. I think it was Felicia that said add brick, because there are beautiful brick buildings on Main Street. So it is hard for us to come together with, like, what is beauty? You know, I've mentioned that to Rob. I'm like, what is beautiful Cape Cod? Is it Chatham? Is it Nantucket? You know, what's beautiful? Is it Portland, Maine, and Portsmouth? Because there's the brick, you know. And I'm an American Studies major from Colby College with architecture background. So that's why I'm obsessed with architecture too. And I love, like, you know, beautiful places, Amsterdam, you know, Greenwich Village. And I think that when this form-based code was up, I asked a local architect, is 4 to 4.5 stories too much? You know, are we screwing up this beautiful thing? And they said, no, I think over that you could make it too dense, but 4 to 4.5, as long as there are great details in it. And you know, like in a place like Greenwich Village or Amsterdam, you see, like, you know, beautiful details, mullions and, you know, banisters and, you know, all of those gables to break it up. So I think they've done that, which was asked of them. So I think I'm pretty comfortable as one of the people that really cares about the downtown and put 10 years into it. I think they've been doing the things you've asked for. And I love the idea of adding the public space piece, because that is something for a commercial corridor to have, to break it up, the ability for the public to use space on the bottom floor. I know that's a best practice, but we're not in the business to force the marketplace. And if the marketplace isn't demanding more cafes in that area, because we already have some, I think we also have to be careful, you know, to dictate the marketplace. So having said that, I'm a proponent of this. I was at the form-based code meeting that night till 11 at night with 4 members of our board who were dedicated to being guardians of the downtown, because we're all invested and we care. So that's my story. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much for your input. Anyone else for public comment? Thank you, Elizabeth.
Hi, my name's Bruce Prescott. I have a property at 448 Main Street, also have a business there. We live up above it. I'm not as eloquent as any of the rest of these people, but I'd just like to reiterate what the last 3 or 4 folks said. I think everybody's worked really hard on this. I think it's an important project. I thank all of you for all the thoughtful work that you do, as well as the developer. I think this is a wonderful and well-needed thing downtown. Hope that you support it. Thanks.
Thank you very much for your input. Anyone else? Good evening.
Hi, my name is Tom Foley. I'm a resident of Barnstable as well. And I think I've heard a lot tonight, and I think I can add some perspective to what an opportunity I think it is to have Wynn be a partner and developer here. I lived in a Wynn property for over 10 years. I saw the way they took care of their property, the way they're very responsible neighbors, considerate to everybody else in the neighborhood, kept their property up beautiful. And I also saw that what they did to a neighborhood as well in terms of beautifying the surrounding neighborhood with businesses that flourished. Was part of the Brookline. They did a very similar thing in Brookline 20 years ago. They went to the form-based zoning, 4 stories, and Route 9 was completely changed for the better. And I lived in that property in Brookline Village for about 10 years and watched them constantly revitalizing their building and the surrounding buildings. And I just thought I'd give that perspective. Thank you. They're a terrific neighbor. And I also want to say one last thing, sorry. I think that it's more of an opportunity to have them do something in a village like this. They are not this kind of hit and run type of people. You could really look at their projects. They're all spectacular, maintained 40, 50 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Town Councilor Betty Lucky.
Good evening. My name is Betty Ludke, and I've watched all of these hearings, and I really appreciate all the comments. And I love what you said, Matt, about the input from the public. I think it's very important. As a town councilor, we had certainly a major part to play in approving the zoning. And I think some of the difficulty with this, from the public perception and perhaps my own, which is, a comment on me not doing due diligence. I didn't realize that this section was entirely residential. I honestly didn't when we approved it. I think some of us were caught off guard by that. And I think that sets up some of the problems we're seeing with the comments on this project, because it is so large and it doesn't, I always talk about speaking to the street. And when I look at it here, it's surrounded by landscaping. And if you go down Main Street, the types of buildings that are surrounded by landscaping are the churches, and that makes sense. It's kind of a softer thing. And then we have the post office, and of course the town hall. And the town hall is our crowning glory, and that's forced. We're in it right now, but it's set back, but it's so majestic. And I do have to think that 4 stories was perhaps a little bit too much. But here it is in front of us. I know when I first saw it, I thought maybe you could cut down the corner a little bit. We could have some give and take. And they've maintained their density, their number of units. And I do applaud the affordability component. And maybe they're not the quote, big A affordable, but it's the AMI range that we really need. So I really applaud that. And I've heard good things about Wynn from people here and in my discussions with them. The aspect of the public use of the space, if I didn't know that, I wouldn't know that. I know maybe that's kind of a weird comment, but when you look at a public building, it's a public building. This, it has a presence, it has a welcoming. I've always wished that the corner of this building could be given to the public. I'm not sure, we've never seen the details of that first floor space. I don't know where this meeting area is. Is it in the corner? Could we have, something that spoke to the public? And I think that would address a lot of people's concerns that this thing didn't just land here. It's a lot of space on Main Street. And I think to events, my kids have grown up here, you have the Halloween, and I give my credit to the BID and the other folks that do these incredible village days. But again, this is all going to be dead for that. I know we would go into the bank and they would give out the Halloween candy and things like that. And I just think that's what's missing. And maybe if there was more of a gesture to the public, and if we're not going to give away density, which apparently we're not, because we haven't seen anything come down on that corner at all, we haven't lost a single unit, then I think the public is owed something. I think the meeting room, but let's give a gesture to the public that they know this is open to them. And I think that would go a long way for people having a broader acceptance. You have an incredibly difficult task because this is new. This is brand new. The zoning is new. And again, I do think it's a bit of a surprise that we have nothing here for the public in terms of how this building presents itself to the street. So you have a difficult job, and I applaud you. I love your thoughtfulness, and I always love the comments from the public. I think they're so helpful, and that's what helps us make this the best town we can be, is have a broad range from our business owners who seem to have one vantage, and then from our residents who love this main street. And a lot of people have been here for decades, as have I, and seen things. And I understand what Tom is saying. When you set precedent, here's one, but are we going to have 5 of these? Oh, we kind of wonder about that. And then what have you got? So all in all, I love the changes. I was talking to them before. I love what they've done with the brick. It almost looks like you have some granite over your windows and things. The details are coming together. I do wish we had a little bit more street presence and just addressing people, so as you walk by, you're not just you're engaged with the building. That's how I'd put it. It's engagement, because you are on Main Street. This isn't suburbia. It's our Main Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Conrad Watson. And I've been coming to Main Street for 70 years. And I remember Main Street when you couldn't even walk on Main Street, the sidewalks were full. And you go on Main Street now, I walked up Main Street today and it was completely empty. And it's like that a lot during the summer. You know, you talk about the building, but the people that are in that building, they're going to come out of that building and then they're going to come onto Main Street. And Main Street's going to be loaded with people. And I think that's what all the merchants want. I think that's what a lot of people want. I have to say thank you to Nathan, because he's added a great dimension to Main Street. He's talk about diverse. He's Mr. Diverse. Anyways, I liked your comments on Long Island City. We drove through there yesterday, and they could use help there. But I just wanted to say that, and I don't mean to insult the Cape or anything, but Hyannis has become kind of an urban renewal project. I bought the Bay Bridge 3.5 years ago on the corner there, and you know, there'd be 20, 30 addicts across the street on the wall making a mess all day, and you know, it's really been cleaned up, but the East End really needs a lot of help, and I think this building would really help it a lot. I think, I don't know if anyone knows it, but Elizabeth Worthbane has worked so hard for so long to bring this town back, and I'd like to really see her efforts not go to waste, because like Cornelia said, I hate the building that's there, first of all. It's the ugliest building. It reminds me of when they built Boston City Hall, and everybody complained about that. But I hate to see that building remain there unvacant. And I don't know, when I see that building, I see a lot of people coming out and a lot of people enjoying Main Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No one else? Okay. So, I'll leave public comment open until we do anything else. Staff, is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, nothing further at this time. Thank you.
Commissioners? Okay. I have a quickie question. Inside that building is a stone plaque with regard to a comment by Abraham Lincoln. Is that being preserved by any chance or given to a museum? Not that it makes a difference on this, it's just a curiosity, but.
They certainly would be happy to preserve it or give access, you know, to anyone, you know, prior to demolition, if there's an appropriate
I just thought maybe the
museum or body that would like to come in
and
and
might want it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think it's quite an expensive piece. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Brennan. All right. In that case, I am going to close public comment and ask the commissioners if one of the commissioners would like to make a motion on the findings. And first of all, there's no additional or anything to put in, just on the findings, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just a point of order here. Are we doing the building and then the demolition?
Good point, and thank you very much. I will ask the applicant, what would you like to do? Separate or both?
We're happy in the economy of time to take both up together.
Are the commissioners happy with that?
Sure.
Yeah? Sure. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
And Commissioner Crowley, we're going to, because you we're here, okay? Just wanted to remind you. I didn't want you to think I was leaving you out. Okay, so would one of the commissioners like to make a motion on the findings and taking both of them together?
All right, I will go ahead and do it. I move that the commission find this application to be compatible with preservation and protection of the district. This is at 307 Main Street and has to do with both the demolition of the current building and the construction of the new building as per the plans that were submitted. The latest plans were submitted.
Yes, thank you.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Kay. All right, Commissioner Clark.
Aye.
Commissioner Doherty. Commissioner Cronin. Commissioner Matthews.
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Kay.
Aye.
I also say aye. Would one of the commissioners like to make a motion on the certificate of appropriateness, please?
I'll make that motion on the certificate. I've wrong page.
There you go. And here's the address for you.
I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 307 Main Street, as described in the submitted materials.
For both the demolition and the...
For both demolition and construction.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Matthews. Commissioner Doherty? Commissioner Cronin?
Aye.
Commissioner Matthews?
Aye.
Commissioner Kay?
Aye.
Commissioner Clark?
Aye.
I also say aye. Congratulations. I do want to say thank you very much for working with us. We try to make it a part of our platform that, you know, we try to help applicants work, and we appreciate your patience and your efforts. And I'd appreciate if you might want to find a way to make that, preserve that part of history and give it to the library or something.
We certainly will, and I do want to thank all the commissioners for their time, for their thoughtfulness.
That's an excellent idea, but it's up to that. It's not part of our purview, but it's an idea.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And thank you to everyone who came and spoke tonight. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, I do not believe we have any matters not reasonably anticipated by the chair. I'm going to let the room clear for a minute and then. Thank you. Thank you for your efforts. It's much appreciated.
Yeah, good luck.
All right. Approval of the October 4th, 2023 draft minutes.
I submit to approval of the minutes from October 4th.
I'll second it.
Seconded. Okay. Commissioner Clark. Oh, Commissioner Crowley?
Aye.
Commissioner Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Doherty? Commissioner Cronin?
Aye.
Commissioner Matthews?
Aye.
Commissioner Kay?
Aye.
I also say aye. They are so moved. Next meeting of the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission will be on November 1st, and then one after that will be November the 15th. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight, for your patience, your contribution, your thoughts, and your feelings. We appreciate it. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, yes, aye.
Commissioner Crowley?
Aye.
Commissioner Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Doherty? Commissioner Cronin?
Aye.
Commissioner Matthews?
Aye.
Commissioner Kay?
Aye.
I also say aye.